So I started this painting with wet on wet. Notice I kept that bottom edge, that little bead of water at the bottom edge so that I could carry it down, then added a little bit more while it was still wet, so that I get nice soft edges, and add a little bit of depth and dimension where those bushes are. After that dried, then I applied the trees dry on wet, and added in some more bushes, but then I went back and kind of softened the edges of some of those bushes and added a little bit of clean water so that those bushes had nice three-dimensionality to them. I wish I had taken the time to find a good reference for the tree and the ivy, because the proportions all don't seem quite correct, and even the mushrooms coming out of the tree and where the tree hits the ground, all of that just seems really out of whack. So I really wish I had done that, but this is the point when I realized that the sky was just a little bit too light and it just didn't have enough chroma to it. So I needed to add more of like a straight ultramarine blue to help it. I really don't like the way I treated these vines at this point when I started outlining them. I was going to put a wash over it, which it would soften them, but I didn't vary the line weight enough, and I just wish I had not outlined them hardly at all and instead just chosen a few selective places. Just because at night, way too outlining, is not going to be sharply right here and crisply defined. I know like that once I put in a low contrast, a wash of water, it was going to soften all of that up. So that's why I wasn't worried about it, and it did soften it up, but I just still wish I would have paid closer attention to the line weight and varied it. Here's how those lines softened with the water. I also should have gone over this entire tree in one big brush stroke movement instead of going in between every single vine. I think that was a huge mistake. I started with a blue colored pencil, and this sketch was transferred so that I didn't have to tear up the paper in order to work out all of these details. Here I was using some clean water to lighten up where the rope would be, and you can see right about here I added too much water and it spread. You can see that pushed a lot everywhere. So then I had to use a dry brush and try to clean it up a little bit with that. Next, I started adding just the shadow shapes before I started adding colors. For the dresses, I added blue to the entire thing and then used clean water to pull back where the folds of the fabric were. Again, I wish I had used a reference photo so that it would be more accurate, but here we are. So I actually much prefer, you can see where I have not added the outlines yet to the vines up there, and I wish I had kept that. The trunk at this point is very overworked. I do love the intentional bleed of that warm red on the edges. This is the point at which I started really cleaning up some of the edges, so any place where they looked a little fuzzy, I would take some dark paint and start to kind of define those edges a little bit better. Overall, not bad, but about 100 things that I wish I would have done differently on this piece, most of which could have been avoided with patience and proper planning.